So I'll thank you for coming here today again. So I'll just do some reintroduction. So this is an FON Scholarship Act 19.0, and like I've informed you before, it's a private zone between the both of us. So I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah, can you repeat that
So
again so I can hear you clearly?
Okay, I said it's a private Zoom between the both of us. Then we'll talk about the Michael Taiwo Scholarship and the your studies at Illinois State University. So just a brief reading of your profile. Jonathan Chilaka is currently a graduate student at the Illinois State University. As at 2020, he won the prestigious Michael Taiwo's annual graduate scholarship, school application scholarship at 2020. He graduated with a 4.78 CGPA over 5.00. And that is from chemistry department, I guess, right? Yeah, chemistry department. And he's currently doing his master's in Illinois. So Jonathan, you are welcome again. That's a wonderful profile you have there. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are welcome. So I'll just start already because we have like just an hour, 30 minutes or even less if possible. So if you don't mind, probably we should start with the Michael Taiwo Scholarship. So I went through the scholarship website. I was just so interested about it, especially when I saw it on your LinkedIn profile. I wanted to know, what is the scholarship about? For those who are talking about our viewers that will be listening to this later. So what is the scholarship about? We've seen the website, but just want to hear it from the horse's mouth. You've been a recipient of it. So what's the scholarship about?
Yeah, I was going to tell you that what the scholarship is about. It's well described on the website. But maybe you want me to say it out, and
yeah, I wanted to say it.
I will oblige you. So the scholarship, like the name implies, it's a graduate school application scholarship. That is, it's not like the regular scholarship where you get money to go to school. Rather, it's like a medium, right, for you to get to the school. So the scholarship, instead of paying for your tuition and stuff, the scholarship pays for the exams that will put you in a better position to be accepted in schools. That's the financial aspect of the scholarship. It pays for your GRE, your proof of English proficiency examinations, and even application fee of up to 3 schools of your choices. And like I said, that's just the financial part, which is like the least benefits of the scholarship. There's a very huge benefit of the scholarship that it's mentorship. You get assigned to mentors that have walked the path that you are intending to walk. Take for instance, you want to study chemistry per se as a graduate program, and you get paired with someone who has studied chemistry in the United States, have that experience of doing well, and then might have even integrated into the society of the United States. I mean, what better mentor would you want than that, you know? It goes along with every other program you're going for. You may not necessarily find someone who's going to mentor you that it's in your field, but the scholarship is designed in such a way that you're provided with like the close to the perfect person to mentor you. So someone who's going to guide you through your application processes, tell you, hey, yeah, your CV is fantastic, but I bet you it does not suit your profile. Or hey, your CV is wonderful, but it does not align with the kind of CV requested for this program or for this school, things like that. So those that can point out the differences between semicolons and colons, you know, those tiny little things that make you stand out, because graduate school application, it's different from where you write JAMB in Nigeria and you're competing with your mates to get into a university. Here, in that scenario, you're competing with locals to get into a local university. Now, in the case of international admissions, you're not competing with just locals because there are Nigerians also competing with you. But then you're also competing with internationals, and not just from one country or from one continent. So you see, it's you against the world. I mean, that's a typical example of you against the world. So you need someone who has to point out the nitty-gritty of every document you're gonna be turning in, every application you're gonna be making, every exam you need to take, like the right guidance. So that's why I said the financial aspect is, I mean, it's huge because we know how tough it is in Nigeria for finances to fly around when you're trying to apply, not even that you've gotten and you want to like start processing, you're applying. But then the mentorship is like the most important thing. Yeah, you get people that guide you until the point where you get accepted. They guide you in your transitioning, because transitioning is also one important thing. And by the time you arrive, they're still here with you and they hold you by your hands until you settle in. And it doesn't end there, because I'm still a member of the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, because I won it in 2021. I was one of the beneficiaries, and with each year we have more beneficiaries. And then I'm still being guided by my mentors that were with me when I was applying for the schools. I don't know if you understand. Some of the scholarships, they give you money, they go their way, because you won the scholarship. Some of the mentorship programs, you achieve the milestone that the mentorship is about, and it ends there. So my Taiwo Scholarship, it's not the only scholarship of that kind in Nigeria. Yeah, but then it is outstanding. So, I think in a long sentence, I've explained it.
Trust me, the website didn't go this far in explaining it. So thank you again for the explanation. You see why I say we need to hear from the horse's mouth? Okay, so again, the website went as far as giving us the requirements for the scholarship, which was actually what really stopped me the most. Let's start from the eligibility. Say something about CGPA. Was it first class again or 2-1? I was just wondering, when I was going to the profile of all the winners, people like you, people have like intimidating CGPA. So what would somebody be like, a 2-2 or a 2-1, or is it specifically meant for brainies alone? They don't want to go for anything less.
All right, thank you. So, if I were not a member of Michael Taiwo Scholarship, I may not really understand this. But because I'm a member and I understand that what you're seeing in the website is not the true definition of the eligibility criteria, because it is diverse. Like, the foundation expects you to be an outstanding student because, of course, for you to compete with people that are looking for the target price, you have to be outstanding, CGPA is just one criteria. And let me break this to you. I know of someone, at least one person, there may be more than one, but I know of one person who is not a first class. And I think there's also someone who is like a second class. Yeah, I'm not sure. So let me not make my assumptions, but it's not just for first class, because in the requirement there, you saw CGPA. I know people always, one thing with applications is people always look out for their weak points when checking for requirements. And that is a wrong approach. I also used to like follow that approach, but it is wrong. When we are asked to check out if we fit in this profile, first thing we look out for is not where our strength lies in that. We start looking out for where our weakness is. I know my CGPA is, what is the CGPA requirement? You see? So as soon as you see first class, you'll be like, oh, I don't qualify, so I'm not going to apply. You already rule yourself out. That is one of the challenges people have, like self-doubt. As soon as you rule yourself out, you're not even giving someone else an opportunity to assess you. So definitely you're out. What I'm
Thank
saying
you
in a
very much.
nutshell is it doesn't have to be a first class. Even if you don't have a first class, because your transcript record is one thing that you cannot change. And most of us don't have that knowledge until by the time we're graduating, And if you have a second class, you have a second class, you can't do nothing about it. Same thing as
Yes.
a third or a first class. So as long as you have that and you can't do nothing about it, don't worry about it and focus on the things that you can do,
Yeah.
like make improvements on, and then who knows. And Michael Taiwo Scholarship, let me also point it out, it's not limited to Nigerians. I know of an
Wow.
Indian. Yeah, I know of other internationals there. So it's no longer, in 2020 it was just Nigerians. 2021 it was just Nigerians, but people outside Nigeria are applying now and they are getting it. So it's not a national scholarship, it's a private scholarship. So it's open to anyone that wants to apply. So it's also another competition on its own, but it's worth fighting for.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
The next part now is okay, I think we already talk about transcript, the personal statement. Now again, I had to go and inquire because there is a page there's a web page about the formal like recipients of the scholarship, and I
Mm.
saw your profile. I was shocked. Like your profile was so intimidating. Was that your personal statement or like just something that they ask you to write so they can put on their web page? But if that was a personal statement, if I were to be in that panelist, I would definitely choose you as among the recipients. So can you help us on how to write a good personal statement to get that scholarship, since it's a very competitive scholarship?
So I'll put it this way. What you saw there is not my personal statement. It's
Okay.
just it's just my profile. And the good thing about personal statements is if you understand that it is about yourself, right? And it is about the best version of yourselves, but including the flaws that you've been able to overcome. You know, nobody is perfect, and the panelists or whoever that is going to assess your documents or whoever it's in the admission committee knows that no one is perfect. So trying to paint yourself perfect is subpar, because if Mr. A claims to have had a perfect record and shown it and also written everything to be perfect, I mean, some people have perfect lives, yes, but then, oh yeah, then Mr. B, who has also, who apparently has a perfect kind of record, but has been able to show that, yes, at some point in time, there have been some setbacks, but this is how I overcame some of those setbacks. Between Mr. A and B, who would you choose? I mean, it's rhetorical. You know who you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
choose, right? Because
exactly.
at some point in time, we're bound to run into challenges. So your ability to overcome, it doesn't have to be scientific. That's why it's called a personal statement. It doesn't have to be a scientific challenge that you overcame. As long as you can demonstrate that, yes, when the chips are low, you could still stand. You're
So I
you're
think
halfway there.
specifically what I'm trying to ask is, what do you think the panelists in the Michael Scholarship are looking out for on a person's personal statement to make them selected for that scholarship?
Um, okay. Like I mentioned earlier, the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, it's not like um, a one size fits all. I don't think it's looking for a particular thing that as soon as it sees it, you're accepted. So it's kind of like a combination of things, you know, your character, your personality, your achievements, the obstacles you've been able to overcome. I mean, if you've never had an obstacle, no problem. It doesn't stop you from expressing who you are and how you've gotten to where you are, right? But the idea of the personal statement is for you to be able to demonstrate that this is who I am. This is where I come from, right? This is where I come from. This is who I am. This is where I'm going to, and this is my plans for going to this place, and this is how I'm gonna approach getting to this place. I'm not trying to I'm trying not to give sentences that you say, okay, I'm going to put this sentence in. No, it doesn't really work that way, If you're able to convey yourself to someone else in a manner that they don't have to see you, they don't have to have a section like we're doing now, but then they can understand you, then you've been able to write a personal statement. So make sure you talk about where you're coming from, because it is personal. That's one of the opportunities you have to talk about yourself in the application process when they say personal statements. If you're coming from grass, say yes, you're coming from grass. But one thing that disqualifies people is how do I put it? Seeking for pity, You can't say please. You can't use the word please in your personal statement. You read some personal statements and you be like, oh, come on. Some people sell themselves short. Because if you don't get this scholarship, you could still go ahead and get other scholarships, Sometimes when you're rejected in scholarships, it is either that you actually do not fit into the criteria, or sometimes when the scholarship accepts you, they don't have anything to offer to you. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it's not always about getting the scholarship. It's about how the scholarship is going to help you develop. It's typical with schools in the US here. They don't give you admission if they cannot provide you with funding, like the state schools so far. As long as you show your intention when you're applying that, you'd be needing a funding. So that rejection does not necessarily mean you don't fit in their criteria. So same thing applies to Michael Taiwo, or similarly. When writing your personal statement and you're coming from grass, yeah, you can mention it. It's your personal statement. I'm coming from grass. This is where I've gotten to. This is my intention of living here to here. And make sure you mention what you have done. Like, this is what I am doing to get here, or this is what I've done to get here. Now, the one unique thing that I found out about the Michael Taiwo scholars is this. Not 100% though, but most of them, out of those requirements, like maybe the GRE, the English proficiency, right? Some of them have at least one. Some even have two. But there are people who don't have any, So, and they still get it. So it's not like a one size fits all, but then your commitment is what shows that this person is worth investing into.
Yes.
That Michael Taiwo scholarship is a kind of human investment, because if I have 5 persons and I say, oh, out of these 5 persons, I just need 3 persons, right, to help to pay for their processes to transition to school. And there are 2 persons that actually meet the criteria, and the 3rd person and the other 3 do not. They'll go ahead and pick the 2, It doesn't mean that they have to choose more up to the number they want. As long as you don't fit into that profile, there's no point accepting you, because what we always told is that you have that potential to be accepted into an international university. That is why you're accepted in the Michael Taiwo Scholarship. And those of us from 2021, over 50% of us, I mean, I don't want to use the wrong statistics, but I'm sure over 65% of us gained admission in 2021. You see?
Wow.
Yeah, the rest gained admission in 2022. Now I can't think of someone who was a beneficiary of the Michael Taiwo Scholarship from 2021 who is not doing their graduate studies right now. So you see that they actually accept people they feel that they can help and they will successfully get into the graduate program. So by the time you start pleading in your personal statement, how long are you going to plead? Are you also going to plead to give you admission? And are you also going to plead for them to give you funding? No, it's about you selling yourself. So try not to sell yourself short. This is what I'm capable of. This is what I have done. I may not have the strength in this area, but this is one of my strengths that I know with it, I'm going to overcome this particular challenge. You know, you're a human being. Let that humanity in you be expressed in your personal statements, but don't sell yourself short.
Thank you very much. So, okay, so I believe the next requirement is a CV. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, what kind of CV? What are you looking for in your CV? Like, is it how many online courses you've undertaken? How many fellowship you benefited from? Just what exactly can one have on his or her CV that will give that person an edge over any other person applying to that scholarship?
Okay. Yeah, so the idea of CV is if I just don't want to like overshare, you know. We're still talking about the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, right? Or generally, now we're talking about general scholarships.
So we're talking about specifically the Michael Taiwo Scholarship.
Thank you.
What are they looking for on your CV?
I just wanted to be sure. So what they want to see in your CV is the same thing that's in your personal statement, but then official information about it. For instance, you said you are a graduate of University A, right? So in your CV, you should show the year that you graduated from University A, right? You say that in your personal statement that your strength is in this area of maybe, let me just use for instance, coding, programming or AI, whatever. Your CV should show section where you've achieved learning in AI. That is, I don't care what type of learning it is. Is it an online class? Did you get it from a certified institution, you know? But you have to show that between this time and this time, between these and this time, I spent this number of hours, or this is the period where I learned how to do this thing that I mentioned in my personal statement. You know, what people don't understand is that the personal statement is a different document from the CV, right? But both of them have to align. If I'm looking at your CV on one of my screen and looking at your personal statement on the other screen, I should be seeing the same person. I should be able to link your strengths and weaknesses mentioned there in your CV that is on the other screen. So what people tend to not to understand, what most people are getting to understand that now, and like with each year, some applications are like wonderful. Sometimes I look at my applications and I'm like, did I really write this? You know, people are improving and doing greatly. Yeah, I must tell you that also. So when your recommendation letter, your CV, and your personal statement or statement of purpose are on the table, or three of them are on the screen, they should be resonating, right? They should be resonating. You can be reading your CV and complete the CV on the personal statement, or get a completion of the CV from the recommendation letter, you know? So that's why those documents are always sought out for. So always don't fail to mention those things that you are unable to mention in your personal statement, maybe because of the limitation of words.
Yeah.
Yeah, so write your courses. If you've gone for seminars, put them there. If you've gone for international conferences or not, put them. If you have publications, put them. Just put everything that announces your greatness in your CV. That is because some of the personal statement requirements does not allow for you to go ahead to buttress so much points. Sometimes you have word limitations, and also same thing applies to CV. Same thing applies to recommendation letters. So find a way where each of them have a connecting factor, and something that might be missing in one of the documents can be found in the other document as well. But make sure you're not contradicting yourself. So that is why, people always make that mistake by trying to learn from other people's personal statements and applying the same trend. It does not necessarily, we don't necessarily have to go down the same road as our mentors. We just have to be ourselves and then listen to their pointers. So make sure your CV is fine. Your CV resonates who you are and it's in line with your personal statements. I think that's what I would say.
Okay. So there's a reference letter requirement. So are there any specific thing you think you advise upcoming applicants to ensure that the person giving them the recommendation is able to impute those things on the recommendation letter or reference letter? What do you think will make one's reference letter stand out for the Michael Taiwo Scholarship?
Okay, like I said earlier, you have to make sure that your recommendation letter reflects who you are as stated in your personal statement and your CV, right? Who are you? I mean, one of the persons that can tell who you are is someone who you've spoken with, not necessarily someone who taught you. Some of the professors don't take extra interest in you. They just do the classes and go. So they can actually describe your performance in the class, describe you as a good or even an ideal student, but they cannot talk about your personal, achievements and all if they're not interested. So don't just go to your favorite professor for recommendation. Go to someone who knows you, someone who you've shared your ideas with before. If you don't have someone like that, then whoever you want to write the recommendation letter for you, sit down with them and share your ideas with them. And then, as your question implies, what are the things that should be in the recommendation letter? Now, the recommender should actually show that, yes, this person is a good candidate for whatever program they're applying for, whatever scholarship they're applying for. And this person has demonstrated leadership skills. Leadership skills is one thing that is underrated. But then also, not everyone is meant to be a leader. And the scholarship is not for leaders only. There's a caveat to it, So if you've not been a good leader, show that you've been a good team player, because as far as I know, in Nigerian university scenario, you can't have a professor, right, having not graduate students, like final year students on their projects, just one. No, they're always in groups because of the number of students to the professor ratio, right? And most times the students assigned to the professor work as a group. So you can't just say you've never been in a team. No matter how you try to run from it, you have, as long as you're a graduate from a Nigerian institution. So make sure your recommender writes that, yes, you were able to lead this team well, or that you were able to help your team grow, even though you are not the team leader. I mean, it's not like they're going to say you were not the team leader, but you were able to grow, So the recommender has to also show that, yes, you've been able to overcome some challenges, because that is what people look out for. In graduate school, the statistics, especially for PhD, the statistics of people, I don't like to say statistics because most times the information you have today is yesterday is obsolete from what you have today. But the idea shows that almost over 50% of PhD candidates always want to quit their program, and they say sometimes that up to or about 50% end up quitting the program before the end of the program.
Wow.
You see, so you have to show that yes, when the going get tough, that you're still gonna be tough.
Get going.
Yeah. So you're gonna be one of those that will get going. Because no professor will want to invest in a student that after 2 or 3 years they will say I quit. And then your research will go down the drain. So same thing applies to Michael Taiwo Scholarship. Make sure that your recommender can demonstrate that you're able to like demonstrate strength, because take for instance, you get the scholarship in 2023 and you're hoping that, because I have the scholarship now, I'm going to get admission, 2024, yeah, that I'm going to get admission. It doesn't really work that way, because I know some persons that have strong profile and yet one way or the other they don't get accepted. Maybe because the program, they are not best fit for the program, or the program cannot offer them what they need, like I said before. So, but just show that you are going to be able, make sure your recommender is able to demonstrate that, this person actually is a resilient student, or resilient worker, or resilient colleague. Anybody can write a recommendation letter for you, but just make sure you read the prompts for the recommendation letter, because one thing with all applications, there are prompts. If they said you need a recommender or 2 recommenders to write about this area, make sure that is what they are focusing on, because following instruction is halfway getting a positive feedback, and not following instruction is a guarantee that you're not going to get anything. So
Okay, thank you. Not that I'm trying to like overstretch your brain. I know you've done like a lot since the getting this Michael Taiwo Scholarship. But can you remember any of the prompts that was
no,
asked?
no. Yeah, I have to be frank with you. My answer is no, and this is why. Then, it was crazy, because it wasn't just Michael Taiwo Scholarship. There were lots of applications flying up and down. So it's just one after the other, one after the other. And
yes,
Michael Taiwo Scholarship, I just saw the advert in a group that I belonged. And I'm like, okay, anything that has scholarship affixed to it, I went for it, So I had to look at it and see what were the requirements. I started, completed, found recommenders, completed, and I'm like, okay, now this is done. On to the next. So I can't actually tell you what the prompt is now. But it's usually around the area of strength and resilience, yeah.
I know of a friend who basically used the same personal statement to apply for like 5 scholarships, and he was rejected in 4 and was accepted in 1. So I think I understand where you're coming from now. Finally, is there like an aptitude test that you have to write to get into the?
There is. There is. So
there is.
Yeah. So look at how it is. It's rigorous. Yeah, it's rigorous, and it's even getting more rigorous by the year. So first was you submit your documents and the okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not going against any rules. Yeah, I can't think of any now. You always have to be careful. But I can't think of any. So I think it's general knowledge though. So first thing is you turn in your documents as requested, and then it gets reviewed. And then, it's kind of like the first stage of screening. For instance, you have your personal statement and it is strong. You have your CV, it is good. You have a good academic transcript, then you're in, Maybe Transcript is not great. Okay, how about your personal statements? Oh, wonderful. Recommendation letters. Oh, superb. Okay, let's give that person a chance, things like that. And then you move on to the next stage. So the next stage is where the aptitude test comes in rather. Now, it's kind of like the graduate record examination because you're trying to go to the graduate, like the exam we call the GRE. Yeah, the graduate record examination. So that is how it is. Half of it is quant. Okay, let me talk about mine because I don't know how the others were, but I think it's still the same. Half of ours were quant exams, and the other half were verbal exams like English, kind of like English, use of English, and then mathematics. So yeah, and then you have like 30 minutes. Okay, then we had like 30 minutes to answer 20 questions. Yes, 30 minutes to answer 20 questions. So it was like 1.5 minutes for one question. If my math is right, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been long, so I totally understand where you're coming from. But generally, how difficult do you think the test is?
Say that
Or
again.
it's like, how difficult is the aptitude test? Like, I've seen a lot of scholarship application. I'm yet to find any that will literally ask the applicant to come and sit for a test. So when I saw this one, I was like, wow, this is like a lot of requirements from a person. So how difficult do you think the aptitude test is?
Yeah, I had a friend saying, oh, this is not even to get an admission in a school and I'm doing all this. So, but when you need all the help you can, you make all the sacrifices there is. How difficult the exam is, it's kind of relative, At the time, I was studying for my GRE, so it was coincidental. So what I simply did was transfer my practice exam skills to that exam, and I wrote it, and it was good. So if you're studying, or if you're the type that you've not been studying for a while, you're kind of like at a disadvantage because the exam is not just the test of your knowledge, it's also the test of your speed as well as your accuracy, because you have to finish. Okay, first, you have to make sure that your answers are correct. And then secondly, you have to finish to beat those ones that have correct answers and have finished. You see? So
is it a virtual or a physical exam?
it's virtual. It was done during the COVID time, so it was virtual, and I think ever since it's been virtual. So,
So I believe you're going like to the next session, which basically is about the benefits of the scholarship. But for now, it's like a reminder to all our viewers on YouTube that this is the Flourish Opportunities Network, and we always come up with content like this from people like Jonathan, Chilaka. So do like and subscribe so you can get updates on subsequent uploads like this one. Back again to Jonathan. So they pay for your Ielts, your grade, your GMAT. Is there like a limit to the things that they pay for? They just pay for everything. Whatever I say you want to write, just pay for them.
no, it's not whatever you say you want to write. So, yeah. Before you applied, it was stated on the website. As at last application cycle, is that they would pay for your GRE, your English language proficiency test, and application fees to 3 universities of your choice. So that's what they pay for.
Okay. So when they pay for those things, do they also like assist you in writing like the things that prepare you for those exams? Because nobody wants to waste money, right? So do they assist you on, okay, how about you read this material, you don't read this material, okay, get in touch with this person, just to ensure that you make that IELTS or GRE exam?
Oh, okay. So remember, before you were accepted, they saw or they believed that yes, you are able to do it, That is why you are accepted in the first place. So no one is gonna babysit you to write your exams. But the good thing, which is kind of like a societal thing for Nigerians, is whenever we find ourselves in a common group, we try to like uplift each other, you know. So there is the mentorship aside, there is peer reviews, you know. You find people in the group that have been accepted like you who have written the exams, being able to give you some tips for the exams, you know, or people who are about to write the exams, you interact with them, form study groups, and try to make yourself better, you know. But you see, because you were accepted, it means that you were able to pass the aptitude test, which is how the GRE exam is designed, right? So that means
Yes.
you're able to pass the GRE exam itself. You see,
Okay.
you were able to write a good personal statement or statement of purpose, and your CV shows that yes, you're a good candidate. That means you should be able to pass the proof of English language examination as well. So you see how it is. It's kind of like almost like everyone who gets into Michael Taiwo Scholarship is sure of getting into a graduate school. But then it is not guaranteed that you're going to get immediately, you know. It's just like someone who has gone through it's just like your parent looking at you and saying, oh, this child is doing exactly the same thing I did during this period. That means this child has the tendency of getting to the point where I am now. So if that analogy works for you, I don't know. Are you frozen?
Jonathan, I lost you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, I've been here.
Okay. So I think it's like a network glitch from my side, from my hand. So
It's
apologize.
no, you don't
Don't
have
say
to
it's Nigeria.
apologize. It's understanding. I mean, it's understandable. Like, okay, if this gives you any kind of relief, during my Michael Taiwo Scholarship, right? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm listening to you.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should stop looking at your video because it doesn't look like we're connected. So during my Michael Taiwo Scholarship interview, so just to make sure that what is it called? That the power there was no power outage. So I was using generator, but still there was still a power outage in the middle of the interview. So you don't have to apologize. You know the drill, so don't worry. So you see,
The Nigerian factor, right? It's something you don't know how to do, how to handle it. You can't perfectly handle it. It's okay.
so
Thank you very much.
just be who you are. That's just it.
Okay. So please, if I can retrace the question again, I believe what I was trying to get is that today, okay, you said something about peer review for the GRE and for the Ielts and everything. So is there like other specific assistance that they give to you to ensure that you are able to sit for this exam and actually pass this exam? You know, again, it's necessary that you pass this exam. If not, their payment, like the scholarship, cannot be a waste on you. So is there any specific thing that they do? That's number one. Number two, what was those exams like? How did you write them? Okay, let's say for instance now, one of our viewers on YouTube is going to watch this video. So just to chip in a little, what did you do to pass this exam? Are there specific materials, any tip, strategy that you did?
All right. So your first question was like how, if I'm correct, you want to know if there's a way they try to assist you to make sure you pass the exam, right? Now,
Yes.
like I said, if you fail the exam, it's on you, good. But then, for you to get the Michael Taiwo Scholarship exams, applications, for you to get the scholarship proper, you must have demonstrated that you can pass the examination, and they must have seen it. So no one is worrying about you. No one is worrying about you passing the exams. If you get into the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, just know that you can also pass the examinations. So they are not really, I wouldn't say not concerned, but no one, it is not part of the scholarship conditions that you will be helped to pass the examination. Remember, the scholarship is to help you get into a graduate program, right? Just like they are not responsible for helping you get the degree you got. So they are not also responsible for helping you get the GRE scores or the English proficiency scores. The only role the scholarship does is provide finances for the examination to someone that they deem fit to pass the examination. It's just like your parents. Forgive me if I'm using family analogies a lot, but it's because I understand that clearly. It's just like your parents saying, "Oh, I want you to make this for dinner. I'll be late from work tonight." Would they call you on phone and ask you, "Have you added this to the pot? Is this boiling?" They trust you to do well. Even if you feel that you're not capable of doing so great, then there are people you can reach out to, which are people in the same group that have done the same thing. I mean, no one can help you better than someone who has walked the path, right? So that is it. And for the exams, like I said, okay, I've seen some
Ielts.
persons. Oh, IELTS. Okay, for the
Let's
IELTS,
let's move accordingly.
all right.
Move
Yeah, I
from
mean,
Ielts.
you're the moderator, so wherever you live. So for that, actually, I didn't prepare so well for my IELTS. Okay, let me not say prepare so well. I didn't have enough time because I had to write my IELTS between the time I got my Christmas break from work and this the beginning of the second week of January. So I had about 27 days to prepare for it. So it was sufficient for me to prepare. So it was okay for me. I mean, I kind of was worried about my speaking, and I was really interested in going there to speak like an American, and how you're gonna start forming your speaking American English. And no, that is one thing we don't learn on time. You don't have to speak like an American, just like the founder of the Michael Taiwo Scholarship always tells us. He says it in our typical Nigerian accent. He says, if you have something to say, they will listen to you. English is not your first language, and they understand that. So if you have something to say, they'll listen to you. So you don't necessarily have to start forming the accent. So I was really concerned that I wasn't going to speak well, and then my speaking section was not so coordinated, and I at the end of the exam, I'm like, oh man, I knew it. And that was my lowest score for the exam because I had a 7.0 on the speaking, and I'm like, oh man. But for the reading, writing, and there are 4 sections. Can't remember. I know there's speaking, there's reading, writing, and listening. So those ones were great. And then, so one thing with examinations.
So it's not a virtual exam, right?
No, it's not.
A virtual exam.
No, it's not. It's not. The British Council doesn't give virtual exams. But I think you can do Duolingo virtually. I don't know. But not everyone accepts Duolingo. But then, the IELTS and the Toefl, you have to go to an in center to write it.
Okay, so how about the grade? See, I have a friend who is currently having his master's degree in UK. So he said he's like applying to US schools for his PhD. And he's studying political science. That is where he actually wants to do his PhD on political science. And he said he was shocked when they asked him to submit his score for his GMAT or grade. And then he was like, I'm a political science today. What am I supposed to be doing with those things? That's supposed to be for those that are into STEM or something like that. So, from your own understanding, what is your opinion about that?
Okay. I mean, yeah, we're in a society that seems like is dominated by like the scientists, and science students. So that's why we kind of like hear those words flying around. There's an equivalent to GRE, which is like the GMAT for
Yeah.
non-STEM students. So yeah, find out what you have to write for your program and write it. They are similar, but they are always streamlined to your particular program. And you know how there's GRE, which is like a general graduate record examination, which is general. Some programs might even require you to write GRE chemistry. So you're not writing GRE that is just English and math. You're not writing a GRE that is specialized for chemistry applicants. So it depends on what the school you're applying to, requires. So
what was your personal experience writing the exam, the GRE? I hope for this time you prepared well.
Oh, I wrote my GRE before my Ielts though. And that was one of the reasons why I wasn't worried so much about the Ielts, because the verbal part of the GRE covered a lot. It covered kind of like the reading and the writing aspect of the Ielts. So I didn't worry about that. Was why I didn't worry about a lot about it. So, but for the GRE, the okay. I wrote my exam in, wow, I can't even remember. I think November. Yeah, I wrote my exam in November, but I remember starting my preparations in March, earlier March. That was when I started. And then I remember starting diligently. One thing is saying I want to, and then another thing is being diligent about it, being intentional about it. So so in August, I was like intentional that I have to register for this exam and prepare for it. So that was when I had to register for it, and then I started preparing. And then I wrote the exam.
Are there specific materials that you read? What did you use in preparing for the exam?
Oh, yeah, there are. The thing is me remembering all those materials, but there are lots and lots of materials, yeah. And if you find your way to any GRE study group, those materials are always available. Just ask, because the Nigerian community is great. Like, people have evolved, Nigerians have evolved to the point that they know that we're not competing. I'm not competing with you now. Before it used to be a time where people hoard information, like, so that I will be better than you. Yeah. Now we know that the sky is too large, like, for every bird to fly. So just ask and you find the materials. There are lots of GRE materials. And also, as soon as you register for the examination, the GRE provides you with links of some materials that you would need, and also provides you with like two free practice text examinations. So you can actually get to write the exam before the exam and see how it goes, and see where you need to make your improvements, write a second one, and see if you've improved. So all those things are the things that guide you to before you write your final exam. So it's not like you register and then you're thrown into the exam hall to write and fail. No, because if you're thrown in that way, you will definitely fail, because you're fighting time, not just your knowledge.
For the English proficiency exams that you mentioned, I've always been astonished when asked, like when I hear my friends are applying to schools and they're being asked to provide a proof of English. I'm like, UK colonized us, didn't they? And now we have English as an official language. So why are you asking me to prove that I can actually speak that same English that I've used in learning from primary to secondary school to university? Is it necessary? And I said that most schools are actually waiving it, like some US schools, like if you are probably from Nigeria or some other countries, some schools ask for WAEC, some other schools that don't recognize WAEC, they kind of like waive it. So what is your opinion of that? The idea of the English proficiency exams?
Uh, can I not share my opinion about it?
Of course, please.
Okay, so I'll pass.
Okay, that's not a problem. Okay,
Okay.
again, since is there another thing that you would love to say about the Michael Taiwo Scholarship? Because I really love to like move into your Illinois State University. Want to know how you got in, and if you applied to more than one schools, why? What were your criteria in choosing the schools to apply to, and all that? So, what other things do you wish to share to us? So, all our videos on YouTube about how to secure the Michael Taiwo Scholarship for this year, 2023.
Okay, so if I got your question correct, you want me to say, describe how I was able to secure the Michael Taiwo Scholarship.
Any tips?
Oh, any tips on securing the Michael Taiwo? Well, usually when people ask for tips, the tips are those things that have been given as prompts in your application, When you're asked to write a recommendation letter that is channeled to this point or to a topic, make sure you write it that way. Sometimes it's subconscious, but we overlook information. You can be reading a line of information and your mind will deceive you. You think this is what I'm actually reading. But by the time you go through it twice or more, you find out that you can even ask yourself, what have I been reading all this while? So those things happen. If you dedicate your time to reading the instructions before you start applying, you're also closer to putting in a good application. Sometimes when we look at requirements, we scan through them. Okay, this, okay, this, okay, this, okay, and then you go to work and start. Meanwhile, sometimes there are hyperlinks associated to some informations, right? Click on those links and see the further informations there. Like for my school, I know we're talking about my Taiwo Scholarship. For my school, people applying to my school will think that they require English language, proof of English, or proof of proficiency in English. But then until you click in that link, you will not find out that Nigeria is among some of these countries too who have been exempted from providing those proofs. You see? So my tips is sit down, read the instructions carefully. If there are extended links in the instruction, hyperlinks, click on them and find out the things in there. Because most scholarships try to use those things to like reduce the number of applicants, because as long as the word scholarship is there, people will be drawn to apply. So they try to like do some tricks here and there before even the main thing, and then you see some people getting disqualifying themselves automatically. Yeah. So that is just my tip. Just read and then write the required information down.
Okay. So we have, can you hear me, please? You can hear me, right?
I can, yes.
So we have just a few minutes left, and we are moving to another session, which is your studies at Illinois State University. So before then, again, for our viewers on YouTube, do like and subscribe to Flourish Opportunities Network. We come up with content like this one. And on the call, I am speaking with Jonathan Chilaka. He's a graduate student at Illinois State University, and he has been giving us so many tips about the Michael Taiwo Scholarship. Stay tuned. So Jonathan.
Yes.
Again, on your profile, as when I checked your profile at the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, you applied to 3 graduate schools, didn't you?
So yeah, I applied to more than 3 graduate schools.
Oh, so what were your criteria in choosing the schools to apply to? What were your criteria? What are you looking at for those schools?
So first of all, any school that had application fee that was over $100 was out of my choice. I have to be frank with you, they were out of my choice. So, but the first thing, I had like a checklist though. I had to like go to US schools and then different regions in the US school, and then different schools in the different regions, and then their rankings. And then that was how I started choosing the chemistry programs that I wanted. So what I did was, whatever school I chose based on the ranking, I would go into the school website. It's about time in the education. Before you choose a school to apply to, you have to like sit down and get information from the school websites. So I had to like go check the chemistry programs, and then some of them have wonderful programs, but sometimes you have schools with wonderful chemistry program, but then, or whatever program you want to do, but then your area of interest is not strongly developed in that school. So why would you want to go to that school, right? Or maybe there are a few professors in that area, and then those professors, maybe you're applying in 2023, and the last time any of those professors had a publication was in 2017. I mean, it shows that something is wrong. Like, the research group is not active, so you don't want to go into a dormant school, a dormant research lab, things like that, where some of the factors are used to like check out some schools. And then also, any school that waived application fee was on my list. I'll keep it aside, and then later I'll check if they fall
Definitely.
into my program. And then if I have like an interest in the school, then I can bring it into my application schools. So, but then those ones are usually the least of my choices, because you're not the only one looking for free applications. So there's definitely going to be more competition. If you think it's worth it, pay the money,
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was just, I had lots of factors that contributed to it. And also I was trying to like choose schools in places that did not have extreme weather.
That's
Yeah,
reasonable.
it's reasonable,
Okay,
but
so
I failed in that part anyway.
I thought the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, like, kind of, they pay for application fee, right?
Yeah, they do. Oh yeah, so
Okay.
the Michael Taiwo Scholarship, so look at how it is. Yeah, I applied for the Michael Taiwo Scholarship in October, but by then I'd already made up my mind that I was going to apply, because you have to keep rolling. You have to keep making your plans. You are applying for a scholarship, right? You're either going to be accepted or you're going to be rejected,
Oh, yeah.
And once you prepare your mind for rejection, look, no one wants to fail. But once you prepare your mind for rejection, when it comes, you easily move on to the next stage, because at some point in life, there will be rejections. So you don't dwell over your rejections, you see. So I applied for my Taiwo Scholarship, had the interviews, and I left it aside. I mean, okay, I got my Michael Taiwo Scholarship while I was in the exam hall writing the GRE, So it was after my GRE exam, I stepped out, and of course, you're always checking your emails when you have lots of applications.
Yeah.
So I stepped out of the exam hall and I checked my email, and I said it was like, congratulations, you were selected for that. I'm like, oh, okay. So you see, I already had
That's
my
the kind of
GRE.
email we are waiting for.
Yeah, but I already had my GRE written, and my scores, I even knew my score because it's instantly too. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, fine,
So,
on to the next stage.
That's very smart, honestly. And this is like the best encouragement I've heard from anyone. That despite the fact that you're applying to scholarship, you should also make your plans because you can either get in or not get in, but life must continue. Thank you for that, honestly. Like the best I've heard since. Okay. So are you like in a scholarship, you're under a scholarship in your studies, or you're like doing like a graduate assistantship, in which case like they pay you and stuff like that? How are you funding yourself there? Is it like are they funding you, you're like doing it personally?
So did you say paying did you say
Your
funding it
school fees.
personally?
As in, did you pay for your school fees yourself, or you are under a scholarship or some sort of
Well,
studentship or
I mean, not to demean myself, but if I can pay my US school fees, why would I leave Nigeria?
okay, so tell us.
Nigeria is a beautiful country, so if I can pay for my United States school fees, I wouldn't leave Nigeria. So that aside, I have a graduate assistantship position, so that comes with a tuition waiver. So the school pay for my school fees.
How did you apply to the graduate assistantship? Was it while applying for your admission in the school, or after gotten admission? That was when you now applied to the student assistantship.
So I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. Depends on the school you're applying to, but most of the schools I applied to, it was along your application. You just show interest that yes, you want a graduate assistantship, and of course, it is not strange to them that international students would require some form of graduate assistantship. Yeah, so you just have to indicate the interest. And then some schools will want you to apply separately for the graduate assistantships. So it
For
just
someone
depends.
that is
Go ahead.
okay, for someone that is like listening to this and watching this for the first time, what is graduate assistantship about? Can you explain to that person?
So okay, yeah. For someone who is hearing it for the first time, it's when you're accepted to do your master's or your PhD program, you're a graduate student, right? So that is that graduate in there. And now the assistantship means you as a graduate student, you're assisting a professor or some professors, So you either have a graduate office assistant where you're a graduate student and you're working in the department office for anything, or you have a graduate teaching assistantship, that is you're a graduate student and you're assisting a professor in teaching a class or some laboratory courses, or you have a graduate research assistantship where you're a graduate student and you're doing research in a lab and your professor is sponsoring your research. So you're a research assistant. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does now.
So,
You're very specific with it. Okay.
I mean,
So
so that's
how okay. So I guess my next question is how has your studies been? Yeah, to this extent now, I believe what I'm specifically asking is I reaching out to you, you complained about, oh, I don't have time, this, that. So how has it been like over there?
I mean,
Compared to your studies in Michael Taiwo University, Abia State.
I mean, I can compare them. It was really like both of them are time consuming. Like my studies in Michael Taiwo University in Agriculture in Nigeria. Did I say Michael Taiwo? Michael University of Agriculture. So yeah, it was also time consuming because we had lots of things going. So I mean, studying is time consuming and everyone is busy in their way. Sometimes busy doing nothing, sometimes busy doing something. So it all depends on the program you're doing. Some programs are like highly cost intensive, some are highly research intensive. So for me, I just do my thing however it comes, just try to flow with it. But it's demanding because here, graduate studies is more like a self-taught program. You just need the assistance of professors. You only go to class to hear what the professors have to say. They will tell you things to do, but you're responsible for making sure that you understand the classes. You're responsible for making sure that you can apply the knowledge you're getting here to different places, You're just, it's, people say graduate school is self-taught, yes. But yeah, you wonder why the professors are in the class teaching. Is because they have to guide you, at least to a reasonable extent. And also they have to grade you.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's
What's the
been busy,
duration of
but
your master's?
say that again.
What's the duration of your master's program? You got admission 2021, right?
So these programs, like I say, the informations are usually on the website. Like Google will help you get your informations clearly. Some ideally 4 semesters is enough for you to graduate. Some people graduate in 3 semesters. Some people graduate after 4 semesters. Like I said, it depends on the intensity of your program. You might be doing a program that requires so much coursework, but then it is thesis based. That means you also have to do research. Your supervisor can say, okay, focus and do your coursework, finish up, and then let's do research. So if your research is not done completely, you're not going to graduate, right? So, and if you finish your research in time and finish your coursework in time, you can even graduate before the 4th semester. I know someone who graduated in their 3rd semester. I know people who are graduating in their 5th semester. I know people who graduate in their 4th semester. So different strokes for different folks.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah, but then
thank you for that information.
Something to point out, you have to be putting in the work, because if you do not and you're lousing about and you exceed a certain period of time, you get kicked out of the program. I mean, they will not tell you to stop connecting. They just withdraw your funds. And when they withdraw your funds, you know what it means. So you just have to be working with your
So
profs.
what are your major highlights?
My major highlights.
What are your major highlights about the studies there? The cultural shock, the environment, your friends, professors.
For the cultural shock, I was already enlightened about it. Michael Taiwo did a good job by informing us what to expect. So it wasn't strange for me. Although I had one shocking experience that I was telling my friend, look at what happened. And I'm like, this can never happen in Nigeria or any African country, of course. But I'm like, yeah, everyone have their cultures. And the good thing is you learn to respect it. And that's what makes you a better human,
Yeah.
Find your similarity with them. And then, of course, not everyone will understand other people, but if you're able to find your similarity with someone else, then you can live with them at that point of similarity. So usually my strongest interaction is with people from my church, because that was the first place I met people in my church. But it's just one Nigerian. Okay, now we have 2 Nigerians in the church, 3 including me anyway. But so things are done differently. But you're here to study. So your primary assignment should be doing your studies and doing it well. Yeah. I don't like to use the word easy or difficult, because what works for Mr. A may not work for Mr. B, and vice versa. So, and it's beautiful too. It's beautiful.
So what's the cost of living like? Is your graduate assistantship able to cover for your cost of living, accommodation,
we're going too private here, Look, let me answer you generically. Your school will provide you funds that should be able to sustain you based on the standard of the living of the state or even the town where your school is. So if I can put it that way.
Okay. We are aware that some programs may actually give you the opportunity to bring a family member. Let's say, for instance, now you're already married, so you can literally come with your wife and child. So does the program allow such? Let's say if there's somebody that wants to like apply to Illinois State University. So can you give
Oh,
the
I
person
mean,
that safe? The person is already married.
oh, it's not about your program. It's the US. So it's like a visa, it's a visa issue, you know. I mean, it's a visa condition. If you have a significant other, I mean, let me use the word spouse, you know, and children, you can actually come to the US with them. Because as students, you have what we call the F1 visa, which is like a student visa, you know. And then as a student who has family, wife and kids, or wife or children, your family will be issued what is called an F2 visa. That is dependent of F1. That's what the F2 means. So yes, you can. But then, you know, the expenses is on you, you know. The university is not gonna provide more funds. You know, they have to provide a certain fund for F1 students, right? So they're not gonna be providing more funds for the F2s because the F1 is person who they are in official contracts with, right? So
Yes.
the US gives visa status to the dependents of the F1 when they feel that the F1 can actually take care of their dependents. So I don't know if I've answered the question. Like I said, different
Oh, you
strokes for
have.
different folks. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So just a
Mm-hmm.
final question. Can any member of our community reach out to you on LinkedIn? Let's say person has like an extra question about the Michael Taiwo University or about applying to Illinois State University. So are you open to receiving messages on LinkedIn? Are you?
Yes. I mean, as long as the person is not gonna come to say hi or hello and wait for another hello and hi. And so, I mean, not to be disrespectful, we are quite respectful persons. You know, you want to come out, you want to come gently and then try to get a level of communication before you start making your request, right? But sometimes it's not the best approach. Just go ahead and make your request. Introduce yourself, make your request, because the person that you're sending your, and same thing applies to anybody you want to reach out to. It's not just me, because the person might just have a few minutes to go through their messages, and then if they don't get a catchy message, no one is going to be replying your hi or hello. Yeah, people are not
Thank you very
really,
much.
yeah, people are not into making new friends. No. So
All the members of our community yeah, they all have emotional intelligence, so they know all this stuff. Trust
no, I'm
me.
not saying, I didn't, I never said so. I'm just saying, you know.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Jonathan, it's been an awesome hours with you. Thank you for everything you've said uh, about the Michael Taiwo Scholarship. We do hope from our end that you have a beautiful studies in Illinois State University. We pray that, you know, even when you want to transit to PhD and all that, that all your plans will come true. Thank you very much for your time. We do
Thank you very
appreciate
much,
it.
too. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
So I
Have a
believe we
nice day.
come and you too. Take care.
Okay. Bye bye.